All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Approval of minutes of the previous meeting was 3/15/2023. Take a motion to approve those.
Move the minutes be approved as written.
Second. Any deletions, corrections, or additions?
Nope.
Those in favor? Thank you. Selectmen's comments. Tom.
Regarding broadband, we need to set up a date and time to have an informational session for residents to come and ask questions about what the plan for broadband is. And I've got a flyer ready to send to the printer. We just need to fill in the date. So I would propose a date of sometime during the week of April 24th.
Is that going to work? Do we need to put any of this on the town warrant? Does any of this have to be approved on the town warrant?
This is just to explain what happened and explain what's on the town warrant.
There's going to be a broadband article.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, but this is it.
This is just information for people to ask questions.
Okay, I guess my question, let me rephrase it. Is this something that needs to be done before we craft the article, or?
No, I don't think so.
Then I would say set it up whenever you want to do it.
26th is what I have written down.
26th? Yeah, that will be Wednesday.
Yeah.
But, okay.
What's the date?
26th, Kim, can you see if the school is available?
Do you want to do it there, not here?
Oh,
I don't know.
do you guys think we need to do it at the school?
We did the solar one here.
I don't know. How much interest do you think it's going to generate?
I don't know. We do get, I don't know, we've gotten a dozen emails for you about it over the last couple of months.
So
Another option is the meeting house.
yeah, so let's back up. You're gonna do a mailer or a flyer?
We're doing a mailer
Mail.
first.
So you will generate some interest.
Yeah.
So we could have 100 people.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine it's going to be more like
Let's do it at the church.
a traffic light meeting, probably.
By the 26th, will it be warm enough that we can warm up the church?
Yeah, I think
Turn
so.
on the
Do
heat.
you want to do the meeting
Turn
house?
on the heat.
You want to do it?
Can do.
It's supposed to be 80 degrees next Thursday.
But the week after that, it could be
Yes.
40.
The following week it could be winter.
Right?
Okay, so 26th, we'll do it at the church?
The 26th at the church? Okay.
Yeah, meeting house.
6 o'clock?
At what time?
What time?
You say.
Six.
What's good, 6?
9 in the morning.
Yeah, let's.
6 or 7?
6
No, 6.
No,
If it's 6 or 7, it's 6.
6 p.m., 26,
Okay.
church.
Perfect.
All right. That's all my comments.
Okay? Anything else?
Nope.
Alice?
I was just gonna say that the bill that I put in to delay the implementation of the housing bill stuff that passed last year is next Wednesday. So that's,
Housing, you mean the
it's the one
taxes?
that the bill that the legislature passed last year. I put in a bill to delay the implementation of it for 2
This-
years.
This is the extra house on the
Yeah,
land?
yeah,
The
yeah.
ADU stuff.
The ADU stuff and some other stuff, but,
Yeah.
to delay it, it's supposed to be implemented in July of this year. The bill that I submitted, and I've been talking to towns in the area, would be to delay it for 2 years.
Good.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen during that delay? I mean, what's the...
Well, it gives us time. I mean, if you need, I mean, Jason, you know this, even the planning board, right? That towns need time. There was no, some towns have already had town meetings.
Yeah.
right? So and also, the state is still working on the language.
That's right.
Nothing's been finalized.
Real quick story, as you know,
Because, I mean, some of the lots we have in this
Yeah.
town are not gonna
well,
accommodate it.
that's right, the short problem is that it's not one size fits all.
Right.
You know, public sewer, public water is different than it is in private, rural communities, and there's some work for these.
The other thing you may have seen in the paper, and I don't have any updates on it, other than the property tax stabilization laws, most of them were killed, but the one that's gone forward so far is one that actually changes the Property Tax Stabilization Act to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Juanita, to increase, replace it with an increase in the homestead exemption.
That
If you're
makes more
65.
sense.
No indication of how much.
And no, you can't make it travel from one property to the other.
I think that's the way I
Just
understand it,
you-
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it wouldn't matter anyways if you were just getting
Right.
X number of dollars.
But there's also no indication yet how much the town would how much the state would reimburse the towns.
50%, I know that.
So,
Can I add to that? Because that's coming up, and I need to know who is going to be responsible of entering all this information into the computer.
oh, is that why you're here, Juanita?
No.
I'm happy to, if you
Because
want me
we need to figure out
participate.
how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So we've been collecting the data, but we haven't.
we have all the information, we verified everybody's, eligibility, but now you have to enter it into the computer. Trio has set up a, of how to do it. They are having a class on it in May, actually, yeah, Candace and I are going to it, May 18th.
Okay.
And they're gonna talk about the LD 290, and Trio's gonna talk about how to implement it into the computer, so I just don't know.
Well, clearly, if you're going to the
I'm
class,
going to the class, but I don't know when it has to be entered into the computer, because as of April 1st, I mean, I would assume it's gonna be before the tax bills are generated. So, I don't know, it's just a weird,
It's
But
already passed.
if the bill passes to scrap it,
Change.
and.
It would go into
and-
effect at the end of the current tax year, right?
so I assume what Kate Dufour has said is this is going to be this for the first year.
Okay. Yes.
This is
yes,
how it's gonna be,
that's-
and then if anything changes, it'll go
Okay.
into the next year.
Is
So
that-
it'll be
that's-
disaster
that-
one for
is
a
that-
year, and then,
oh, boy.
That was my
Oh,
question, I mean, are we gonna go do all this but
Yep.
not, you know?
No,
because-
no, well, no, because this will go in, what we currently have, I don't see changing,
correct,
right?
For at least a
this
year.
at least for a year,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the tax bill going out in the fall is
Is
gonna
gonna
reflect
have
the-
this,
yep,
yes.
Yep,
Yep,
all right.
and then if they decide to change it. But there also was a bill I saw to reimburse municipalities for all the assessing work for the LD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
I did not see
Oh,
that.
yeah, I saw that. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
you
that
reimbursed
as
for
well.
that.
Absolutely. So when is the class?
May 18th, I wish it was sooner, but it's May 18th.
So it's the day after town meeting.
Yeah, it'll be fun, Candace and I, yeah. So, perfect timing. But it's a really good class. They're going to talk about a lot of LD 290
Okay.
and Trio and,
And there'll be more information by then, I would
Yeah.
hope, too,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's all I got.
It's almost like the same people that set up the marijuana laws were involved in this.
Except we're moving faster. This one is moving
oh,
faster.
yeah, it needs to.
Compared to.
Don't make it
It
better.
needs to.
How many did you get? May I ask that? How many do you have in Woolwich?
Who applied?
I don't have a total count on it. There's a lot. I want to say there's probably a good 300 or better.
I have tested it in Pittsburgh. The entry is quick. And
Is
there's a canned report that is working. We've not done all of it. I tested it, and that
Okay.
I'll at least give you that. But the research,
Yeah,
and reaching out for verification is a time black hole.
If you let me know when that, like, if you give me information about the bill to reimburse towns, I would happily testify. on that
Okay.
one.
absolutely.
All right, Dale?
All set.
Oh, where do I start? Okay, so the first thing we gotta do tonight is just not talk about town stuff. David became a great grandfather
Woo-hoo!
for the first time as of last week.
We have a new resident of the town of Woolwich, Millie Mae Gurney. She was born-
Millie Mae?
Millie Mae Gurney.
Oh,
She
love
was
it.
born at 4:32 last night.
Wow.
I am a great grandfather.
So,
He's old.
yeah,
What's that?
congratulations.
Congratulations.
So all I have is Matt put the floats in down here over the past weekend, so they're in. Still waiting for the material pricing from him for the floats that we need for the expansion here at the park. And then don't forget, we've got to think about that sign. I don't know if you guys recall, we got a price from Sunset Signs, who's the company that did the one at the cemetery. And it's under $1,100 or $1,200 to redo anybody seen the big sign down here, the park sign?
And we have to give the state credit for something on the sign.
Yeah, and also I think we talked about maybe
Yep.
Jones or
Yep.
recognition or something.
Yeah.
And if anybody's, well, go look at it and figure it out, but we gotta decide quickly if you wanna get, I think we were gonna use ARPA.
Should we get out and take a picture of that sign so we know what the language is?
I did, I sent him a picture, I took a picture.
All right,
But-
so we've got to decide what we want to change on the wording and everything.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. I just have something I want to read into the minutes here. It's at the last meeting, I made a comment that Brian, that the EMS had always run over budget and didn't bring in the amount of income that they said they would, and I was wrong. So I want to read into here what actually happened. The very first year, the budget was $206,292. They had estimated a projected income of $72,000, and they took in $64,397. The next year, we added $25,000 to the budget, made it $231,113, and they actually had a very good income year that year. They took in $100,049. These numbers are all audited by our audit, our bookkeepers. The very next year, the budget went up $58,000. We added $65,000 to the payroll line, but there was some other segments which made the total increase $58,000, and they took in $7,702 less. They took in $92,347 that year. There was a couple of years that Brian did exceed his budget, certain lines in his budget, and we had to juggle numbers around to make it come out right. And there was one year that we did have to use a little bit of our contingency, but I was wrong in my general statement. Other than that, public comments. Anybody with the public? Debbie?
I have a question. The Historical Society is trying to plan events for next year. It would help us a whole lot if we knew if the town was going to sponsor a Woolwich Community Day, and if so, when. And I don't think that committee is super functional right now, so I don't know how you want to make that decision.
I would say that we should keep that tradition going. I don't know.
Do you remember what day it was last year?
It changed, I think, last year from the,
Well, it used to be the first Saturday in August, right? But then it changed last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I want to say like middle of August.
Yeah, wasn't it,
16, 17.
20?
Oh, was it late?
Was it
late?
the 17th?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was the 17th.
17th.
I would say it should be either the first or second Saturday in August.
Yeah, well, you're the only person in the room on the committee, right, Allison?
I would go either with the, well,
5, 12, 19, or 26. And we don't have, if we could know at the next select board meeting, I mean, it doesn't have to be decided tonight for the Historical Society. It's just we're going to start putting out some PR, and I'd like to have it
Looks
on.
like the president decided.
I would say
I
that.
missed it last year.
Committee?
Well, I think we're having a little trouble with some of the committee members or
I'd go with the,
12. I do too, yeah. So, but you're on the committee.
yeah.
So the
12?
minutes should
Let's go
reflect,
with the 12.
the minutes should reflect that the committee member present
As
recommended.
designated August
Because
12th.
Rob wants to get down to Mystic on the 19th.
Saturday the 12th of August.
Yeah,
Got it.
August 12th.
Thank you.
Okay,
Is
Debbie,
it going to be sunny that day?
doesn't matter.
We could have a rain,
Well, we'll get that tent up, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean, for that in advance.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks, Debbie.
anything else from the public? If not, we'll move on. Road Commissioners report, Mr. Shaw.
Really not a whole lot, we've relaxed the posters, except the Old Stage Road where we paved last year new. That one is remaining up because of softness. And East Hedge, I kept that on hold for a little bit also. Other than that, the posters are taken down.
So just part of Old State Road?
The piece, 127, 128, yeah.
Section 1 and 2, right?
Brand new hot top. Other than that, I've been trying to put roads back together.
Okay. Our dirt roads over the winter, because of the lack of frost on the ground, a lot of our dirt roads really took a beating, and Jack's been doing a great job trying to put them back together. Anybody have any questions for Jack? Okay, thanks, Jack. Codes officer, he did give us a report here, and I'll just hit some of the highlights for the things slowed down somewhat during March. Fielded a lot of phone calls, many were from prospective buyers and questions about what would be permissible on different properties. There's a new cell tower being proposed for 5 Nutter Road. He attended the visit site for the planning board. He investigated a reported junkyard at 284 Hockey Mock Road at the request of an abutter. There's no doubt that this lot fits the description of an automotive graveyard as well as probably a junkyard. After discussion with the DEP, is a state statute that is only enforceable by the municipality. DEP will offer help in the event of contamination or some other issue like the situation is not a new one. I'm proposing the town take action here. I'm simply providing my findings as noted in the attached document. The abutter has taken the next step, having the water tested. Going further, he lives at the reference property. The situation is not an isolated case to Woolwich. It might be one of the worst, but it's certainly not one. But regarding the Reed property off of River Road, a plan has been agreed upon and no action is needed from the town. All things are expected to agree with the ordinance, and that was the originally permitted. The building has been altered to comply with the height restriction, and other means of backfilling will be utilized on the water side of the building to ensure it does not encroach within 75 feet of the river.
So what we read in that, David, is don't do anything on the pocket lot for now.
He is suggesting that we should look into it and
That we should. not-
Well, he says he's saying,
He sent a little attachment with that, and he said, I am not asking the town to do anything, I'm simply reporting what I found.
right.
My take from conversations with the DEP is that it's up to the town's discretion unless there is known pollution. Plus, if we give a notice of violation here, there are many other properties like it, and where do we draw the line?
yeah.
Right. So I mean,
So what I understand is it's not necessarily active, it's just what's been there for all these years. We agree on
there's
this,
a lot
so,
of equipment that's
so,
that's
I'm not-
in there
yeah.
melting
So-
into the
This must be
ground.
Jerry's place.
yeah, you know that. Yeah. So, no action is needed this time.
Well, I wonder if that might change if the water test comes back.
Right.
It would, if the water
Yeah.
test doesn't come back good. Plus, it depends on how much the abutter wants to
Right.
push the issue. And you know, when you're living, I always told people, if you are proposing New England's largest piggery, then zoning is your enemy. But if you're living next to the proposed site of the New England's largest piggery, zoning is your friend, right? And that's the same thing we've got going down here. I mean, how much does your right to enjoy your property stops when you start infringing on your neighbor's right to enjoy their
Right,
property?
right.
You know, so, if the abutter pushes this, I would think that push comes to shove, we're probably gonna have to do something.
Right, right from the minute.
Is this a new abutter?
What's that?
No, I don't think so.
Is this a new abutter?
I don't believe so, no.
I don't
I
think
think
so.
it's just
Just
somebody
somebody
that's
take
finally
the problem
fed
all
up
of a
with
sudden,
it.
that's all.
What's that?
I wonder why the big problem all of a sudden.
I think you've probably just gotten tired of it. I mean, if you've been down there, it is a mess.
It's gotten worse.
Oh, I wouldn't say it's gotten worse in the last 5 years, but it certainly hasn't gotten any better.
Maybe it's more visible, I don't know.
Winter makes it a lot.
I was gonna say this.
Winter, right?
Yeah. Okay, Brian is not here. Do we have a written report from Brian?
I have 12 EMS calls since the last meeting, 5 transfers. Transfers have ceased. They are no longer current. Midcoast is, well, should I say, Maine Health is up and running with their ambulance service. So David Hudson called me the other day and said that he appreciated our help, and I did voice the request that anybody that's a Woolwich resident, if they still would like transport, we will certainly still do that if they're a Woolwich resident. Bring them home or what have you, or if they need to go somewhere. If we can staff it, and I made that clear, so they'll check with us, and if we can do it, we'll do it. If we can't, we can't.
Real quick, Sean, are the 5 transfers in the 12? Are they in the 12 number?
I believe so, yes.
So we-
12 calls, 5 of them were transferred.
So we had 7 calls in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
7 outs, okay.
Yeah, don't ask me what was
No,
what.
no, no.
I was on a couple of them. We used MC1, I believe, twice, if I remember correctly,
Just like that.
for assistance. Those numbers were quick that I just threw together. Brian will be able to update you with details on that if you need any more when he gets back. Yeah, and that's all I have. EMS stuff, that's all I have for that.
And do we want to ask him while we're on here?
What's that?
Do we want to ask him about next week? About a meeting?
Yes,
We want to.
yes, we should bring that up. We really need to sit down with you and Brian
Yeah.
as soon as possible to go over the EMS budget.
Okay.
We would like to vote on the warrant at our next meeting, which is the 19th.
Okay.
So if you
Next
can
week?
find out from Brian when he's available and let us know.
Okay.
You know, we would prefer to do it on Wednesday night, but if that doesn't work, we'll get it.
We have training next Wednesday night.
Next Wednesday afternoon. So Allison, what nights are bad for you?
All of them.
Okay.
Wednesday's actually not,
Well, we can't do Wednesday.
but that's something
I have
I
the fire marshal's office is going to be up here next Wednesday, so then we'll be tied up.
But that's something that I can do on Zoom in the evening. It's just the afternoon
Okay.
isn't gonna work. but-
Well, anyways, as soon as you can
Yeah.
get a hold of
I'll-
Brian and find
I'll do my best
out
to
when
make it
he's
work.
available so that
Okay.
we can sit down. We've got to get his proposal hammered down so we know what to take to town meeting.
Friday's good.
I will do that.
You want to ask Sean about the 500?
You go to the fire part, right?
What's that?
What do you do? Go to the fire part? I never go to the next
Yeah,
one.
no.
Yeah.
All right, are you done with EMS?
Yeah, that's it for you.
Okay, let's move on to the fire chief's report.
Yeah, 5 calls since the last meeting. The compressor that I had mentioned about getting fixed, that was fixed last week.
This is that repair.
The repair, and it's good to go. He said we're in good shape now.
This is 20-something.
26 something or other under it. It is a bladder, it is piston rings, it needed quite a bit of work. He was here all day. But he said we're in good shape now, so that's good news. We needed that fixed. Wildfire season is upon us, so we've gotten all the wildfire stuff back in service. The broadcast back down here from the North Station. We're ready to roll for that. We took the trash off the over this week. The garage door openers, PDQ came back last week and put in a booster or whatever you want to call it. So each door now has a booster. This little antenna, you can see it, it sticks out on the outside of the station, right in front of the door. They'll open up from Route 1 now.
To solve the problem.
Yeah, Larry's happy, yes.
Did you guys aware of that real quick? Yeah. Okay. So when they put them up, they weren't working?
Yeah.
You could pull a fire truck out and be within a foot of the building and the door was still shut down. So that's fixed.
Step on it.
Well,
Right.
When you must have that fixed, we'll save in heating costs.
Well, yeah, you can't go to college, stick your arm out the door.
I took it out. We had to get out the truck, the door down, so. Shelter Institute, I had a conversation with their land development coordinator. regarding their development out by the Shelter Institute. They're putting in a 14 lot parcel. Had a chief chat with the former chief about it because he started the situation with them, and we had a good constructive phone conversation. I sent them 2 proposals that I would like to continue. One is a hydrant, obviously a fire hydrant, and where we would want it, and this and that. And if they don't vote for that, which I'd be surprised if they do, with the price of things, would be a fire pond. And I gave some specs on things such as that, as well as some hose and a tool that we could use to gain water from that pond. I very specifically stated in that proposal that I do not want a dry hydrant. A dry hydrant is more work for us. It's more work for them as the landowner. They have to maintain it. They have to keep it right away. I don't want a dry hydrant. We have to go twice a year to flush it out, and it's in 5 years that thing is going to be useless. So I requested a turbo draft. Turbo draft is a tool that Fire Service has that is a very good tool for getting water out of rural ponds or ponds you can't get a truck within 20 feet of. I can be 200 feet away, and one guy can take this turbo draft up to the pond with a hose, hook it up, hook the other end of the hose back to the truck,
Wow.
and one truck can take care of itself. A dry hydrant takes 2 trucks. You got to have a truck to run it, and then you got to feed to the other truck, which then boosts it up.
Okay.
So it's in today's day and age, I don't have enough resources to dedicate 2 trucks just to get water out of the pond.
So I have a question. Can you use the pond that's right there?
It's not, from what I've seen on the pictures, it's not going to be close enough. It sounds like it's going back a little further
Yeah,
than
that's what I was
development out by the
wondering.
track and stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd have that empty.
And it would be too far from Montreat Brook, and that's,
Yeah, well, I mean, ideally, I'd like to have a hydrant.
yeah.
You got the main water line right there. You know,
Right.
you got a hydrant. That ended, I don't need a truck for that. The hydrant will supply whatever we need. So
Would be
Um,
best.
that would be the best thing.
One
Yeah.
of the concerns we had to that development, the Board of Selectmen, is that they're proposing, I think, a 12-foot wide road. And
Yeah.
We were worried about you.
We looked at the road. I think it's a little bit wide. I think the base was going to be 12 feet or something, but it looked like it was. We were looking at the measurements and.
Our concern was if somebody was having a party at one of the houses and they were parked on the road, especially in the wintertime, could you get around them?
Oh, we'll move them.
Well, so what I, real
These are
quick,
old people who are going to be living there.
well, real quickly on that, David, I think after Greg's conversation, you talked to the attorney, and Debbie, did you get the responses? Have you seen the attorney responses too? For some reason I got a copy of it. The attorney responded to Greg's questions about the development and, the bonding issues.
Yep.
I only saw it really quickly, but the planning board has the answers to all that. I think what I read about out of that is I'm not sure that they're even allowed to go to a one-way road, if I read right. But anyway, you guys are gonna take all that up next
Are
meeting,
you
right?
going to the planning board meeting, the next planning board meeting to talk?
Are they going to be there for that? I can't.
No, I'm just wondering if
Okay.
you're going to brief the planning board about this.
I can. I responded to her because they emailed me directly and asked about it, and then they called me. And
The Hennings did?
the
Shelter.
land development
Oh,
consultant, whatever, Esther or whatever.
Yeah.
Esther,
Yeah.
The
And
next,
we had a great chat, and she was going to convey that, our concerns, and
Well, maybe
I haven't heard back, so.
the
Maybe
next
she'll,
meeting is Monday night
Okay.
at 6.
if she's going to be.
Will
there,
she
maybe-
be there?
I'm not sure if they're on the agenda, but we're expecting them to be on the agenda.
I'll touch base with Greg and just see if they want.
Maybe she can convey that information.
Again, our concern was, if you had to get a bunch of equipment in there,
Yeah.
and with a narrow road, I mean, one truck is not gonna get past another truck on a
Yeah.
12-foot
Yeah.
wide road.
Well, run it
especially in
in,
the
run them
wintertime,
down.
And real quickly, just for transparency, Sean and I did have a conversation about a pressured hydrant from the water main. And I think you'd said like 300 yards in, 1,000 feet or
Yeah.
something. That's what we do for work.
From Route 1?
Yeah, but it would be extremely expensive, and I'm gonna tell you why, real quick. First of all, there's a major ledge problem out
Right,
there.
yeah.
Second of all, it would not be a town hydrant, it would be a private hydrant. So on private hydrants, you have to put in a meter pit, so you meter all the water used. That could be thousands and thousands of dollars, Phil, all this,
Yeah.
that could be thousands and thousands of dollars just to do that one thing. So, it could easily be a, $100,000, $150,000 thing, so I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, the ledge is the.
The wedge is a major problem, and I'm I'm just telling you what I told him, but.
Yeah. So that's why I put on 2 proposals. The second proposal would include equipment to help us in that, area so that we could, maintain. And the way I worded it is, this wouldn't necessarily be, depending on the life of the pond, it wouldn't be just a one-time purchase. If 10 years down the road I pick something, that turbo draft that breaks or needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's that. What else did I have on my list? That's it for fire stuff. You guys have a question?
A couple of my board members have mentioned to me that they had some concerns about the cost of entertaining the fire chiefs association while they were here.
The fire chiefs meeting, so the county chiefs meeting, it's a quarterly meeting. We have 4 of them a year. We take turns of all the departments in the county hosting them. I did clarify before I agreed to host it, it's up to the department to foot the bill for the hosting. So after planning that and getting materials ready together, we haven't had a real active auxiliary. So the kitchen has kind of gone to the haywire as far as supplies go. So I needed to supply, things like paper towels, paper plates, and just stuff like that we don't have. So I had to purchase a bunch of stuff for that, which we're going to have. We'll be all set for at least a couple of years now. So that got us back up to that level. And then they tacked on the forestry service, asked if they could have an hour of that meeting for our town fire ward meeting, which is also a yearly event, which they explained to me that they would be willing to pay up to $150 toward that. So I already sent them a bill for $150, so you'll see $150 come off of that anyway. So food and all that together, I think food was probably only $250. So the rest of it would be supplies that, like I said, we have it now, so we're stocked and ready to go. So if we have something else that we need, like a couple of these mandatory meetings that we've had to do, first aid stuff, I'll bring donuts or something. Just they have to be here for the full 4 hours or full 8 hours. So I gotta give them something to be here for that and to get a tourist. So that clarify that.
The other question I had put to me was the Sam's Club's cards.
Yeah.
Are they in the name of the town of Woolwich?
That's my Sam's Club account. It's a business account, so it's a tax exempt account, so we don't have to pay tax for that.
But it's under your personal name,
Yeah, it's under my business name. I don't know.
so the town has to pay for that?
Pay for what?
We had to pay $160.
The renewal for the membership because I'm going to be using it for the fire department.
So what time does that meeting start on the 19th? My concern is parking. The last time there was a fire chiefs meeting here and there was a select board meeting the same night. And we have an ordinance meeting and.
The 19th? I don't think we have anything.
Parking was crazy.
Yeah, so what's on the 19th?
There's a select board meeting and there's
Oh,
a
no, there's not gonna be another one of these meetings
No, this is
Oh,
just
okay.
strange.
Yeah, that's,
in a couple of years.
Oh, no, yeah.
So that would be the
That's
question.
once a year.
Yeah, so that's the question I have, there's 4 a year?
Yeah, no,
Total.
I won't have to host another one.
Right, because there's 10
2
towns
years.
that we count, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I won't have to host another one for 2 years.
Okay.
I guess apparently we hadn't hosted one in almost 3 years, so. I felt obligated, so we did. But
Any further questions?
Jackets.
Go ahead.
Sean, how do you spend $900 on 3 jackets?
they're EMS, I can show you if you'd like to see one. They're EMS jackets, or EMS, fire and EMS jackets. Brian and Mike purchased probably 20 of them, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. All the officers have them, and they are NFPA compliant, they're bloodborne pathogen proof, if you will. There's a couple other ratings that they meet for safety ratings. They're DOT level 3 reflective, so they can be an alternative use if they are on Route 1 somewhere or directing traffic. But they're actually, it's a pretty good buy that we get from the Northeast or whatever it's called out in New Hampshire. They actually knock like $70 off of them. They're almost $450 a piece. But they're a 3-stage jacket, so it's a waterproof outer shell, and then there's a inner liner. So it's like a fleece jacket, so you're getting 3 jackets in 1 jacket basically. So they're good jackets, but I needed a new one, and then I had 2 members who didn't have a jacket, but they more than well earned it, so they got them. So. And I also have, I need this approved. This is a quote for boots, gloves, and some webbing and some other little pieces of equipment that we need. Webbing, it's firefighter survival webbing. It's what they use when they keep a 3-foot loop of it in their pocket. So if they ever get stuck in a building somewhere, they can use that to get out of the building, hang themselves in. We use it for all kinds of stuff. We use it for auto extrication, holding the door open.
Okay.
It's special grade, so it's pretty
Do you have
strong.
this in your budget?
Yeah.
So on the Sam's Club thing, you have it coming out of an account that has $0 in it. You have it.
But I might have put the wrong account number. I can check back on it. Yeah.
Okay.
I might have put the wrong number on. It's the template that request payment, the template, so I might have.
Is that what I'm saying?
The request for payment, the template that I put on, I might have just forgot to change the number over on the account. I can,
I don't know what account you're trying to take it out of, so.
yeah, I'll check it.
Did you submit stuff today?
No, I didn't have anything today. I just had stuff that came in today, but I haven't.
This?
Yeah.
No, the only reason thing I saw, Sean, was the CPR training.
Brian.
Yeah, but it looks like are you paying for the fire side?
Why didn't he submit it?
Well, I'm confused on that, Kim, but it's for, yeah, it's in there, but it looked like on his EMS.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, okay.
He put like,
Did he,
yeah, no, I just want to make sure that
I'll look at it.
Secret
I might
price
have,
is 207.
yeah.
no, but that's only his side though, right? If you look at the breakdown, isn't that only the EMS side?
It says,
See the breakdown right there or something?
I'll look at it. I might have tacked it on by mistake.
Just want
I
to,
have to pay for my side.
I think that's what is that where you read it? Yeah.
yes.
Was that part of his paper? That might have been.
Yeah, there's one for, they had 210
Is your part?
and
Yeah.
270 is,
Yeah. Yeah, he took care of his people and I have to take care of my side. So that I might have just mixed it in there with that.
Well, it was on the one sheet of paper, so.
Okay.
it was totally
Yeah,
fine.
just so that,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, wait.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Old business, anybody have anything under old business?
where do you want to start? Kim, anything?
No.
Okay, let's go on to review submission. Okay. Everybody on the board has had a chance to look at this. We actually got good news with the revale. We had planned on raising another $50,000 this year to put towards the revale. We don't need to. The revale bid proposal came in less than what we've already got set aside. There is going to be some contingencies with they included, I think, 2 days of meetings with people that have questions, and then if it runs past that, we'll probably use up what little extra we have covering those. But the final cost is $282,500 if we want it done by April 1st of 2025, and that's what I think is the best deal and the best situation for us. So, a motion to award the contract to David Ledoux Associates. Rigo Assessing Group is the actual name of the business, for $282,500.
So moved.
Second.
Juanita, if she has an opinion about this?
I've not seen
Okay.
the bids, but I greatly respect the individuals involved in that firm, and 3 of them were here on a Saturday. They looked at all of our assessing records, they looked at the trio, they were very thorough, and I think, I'm speaking for Mike as well, we would have a high level of confidence in their product for you, and we would feel that it would be a very collaborative, assuming that you renew our contract, we believe it would be very collaborative to work with that group, so.
Okay.
Did they say anything about personal property?
We spoke in general, and I was curious if they had included it in that number, or if they are bidding only for the real estate with the personal property to be done separately was what I would expect, but I've not read it, so.
I don't see where it does mention personal property in here at all. So, what it does say, the very short version of what it says on option C, which is the one we just voted to go with, includes a full measure and list of all property regardless of whether any changes have been made since the last visit. Effective date of the reval will be April 1st, 2025. So, and he's going to measure every property and visit every property.
No, right. And we did, we read it thoroughly. We couldn't find much on anything on the personal property, but is that something that's traditionally done at the tail end of this process, or is it?
Frankly, I think it would be most proactive to do it toward the end, because personal property evolves more frequently and is more fluid than the real estate. I would not anticipate that it would be a large additional cost. I have mentioned to you folks, very on the surface, and mentioned to David and Justin on the surface. The assessing group that I work out of is a national group that I'm designated by, in addition to my being certified and licensed. And we could reach out on Woolwich's behalf, and I'm virtually certain that you would get people who would probably come and do this in a week's time. And I've jokingly said to you, they would want a little lobster mixed in there, but that they would be happy to come out of the Boston area and do it. I wouldn't anticipate it would be a great expense compared to your real estate, but I also could not give you an informed dollar estimate because, luckily, I do not know. I'm shooting from the hip when I say that to you. But I would anticipate. They also do not have any appraisers on staff of which I am aware. And I had verbalized to you and underscored that you would want to have appraisers involved, certainly in some of the more complex properties. I don't know if they included any reference to potentially having as subcontractors for any of the more complex, like CMP. I mean, that's complex. That I don't know. So there could be a couple of additional costs, such as the personal property, or to hire certified general appraisers for some of the more rare but more complex properties in addition to this.
Could that be something that we don't even worry about this year and deal with? In other words, can we award this to this firm? Then 1 year from now talk about those things?
If I may answer with my usual candor, if I did not know that two of the individuals involved had been the directors for Maine Revenue Service, where the state has trusted them entirely with all of real estate and personal property for the entirety of the state. These are individuals who have been tested and have demonstrated their veracity, their reliability, and their strength. And my personal opinion, and Mike will speak for himself, I would trust the honor of these Maine residents who have served the state of Maine in highly trusted positions for a very long time. David's father before him, the same way. Personally, I think that I'm delighted that they engage you. Is that a fair answer?
That makes sense.
Okay, what we need to do is we need to let David know that we've finished giving the contract, and we need to find out, if you remember correctly, at last year's town meeting, people wanted to have an informational meeting before the reval started. So we should reach out to David and see when they would be available to come down and have an informational meeting before the rebound starts. Just so that people get a chance to find out what's gonna happen and why it's gonna happen and that sort of thing. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Juanita, but we're really in a position where we need to get this done because we're gonna start losing all our state reimbursements proportionately.
There is nothing to correct. You are absolutely abundantly correct. And so many communities are reaching out for these bids, and so many communities are getting no response. The sooner you secure a contract, the better for the towns.
That was our thinking tonight. I know we still have to vote, but I mean, that's our thinking tonight, but, and I guess I'm not, when would it actually start? Like, can we have this meeting after town meeting?
Yeah.
You know, in June or something?
Once we secure the contract with him, you know, we will have time if we need to on another town meeting, another year down the road, to raise and appropriate some money for any initials or anything. We'll have time to do that. But, you know, let's face it, our back's against the wall. We have no choice but to do this.
Well, and related to that, if I can ask Juanita one more question, if you know the answer to this. If we have started this process, that the state would cut us some slack on getting it done, right?
The state would not reach out and attempt to hire a rebound firm and then back it. I don't know that there would be any slack cut on reimbursement, but there would not be any. And I will add, and it may be some reassurance to you, it may not, but Mike and I have both told the 4 individuals involved in this, they could contact us at our private home 24/7. And I mean that 7 days a week. If it would benefit the town of Woolwich, they have our personal phone numbers, they have our cell phones. We totally respect them. And Woolwich has compensated us for all these decades fairly and respectfully. And even though that's not part of their bid or our contract, I do want you to know that we have offered that to them, and we feel we would want to do that for the taxpayers in Woolwich. And I would not offer that to many other rebound firms. So it may have value or not, but.
Thank you very much.
Well, we'll contact him as soon as possible and get the contract signed and see when he's available to come down for an informational meeting. Okay.
So we gotta just vote.
We did vote.
Yeah.
We didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't vote. Those in favor? I'm sorry, I thought we already voted. Okay. All right. Now we have to vote on it. Okay. Anybody have anything else under new business?
I do. So I received, Mr. Drinkwater came in today. I talked to Jason about this earlier. So back in 2015, the town did a quitclaim deed to him for back taxes. So protocol for doing a quitclaim is you list it by map and lot. Well, his attorney that he has now is requesting that the town of Woolwich provide him a quitclaim deed that clarifies the property like a original deed would. Which first I was going to give it to Kristen to have it looked over, but both Jason and I looked at it, and it doesn't change any deed that was provided to him in the first place. This is just clarifying it more of a property definition. So if you want to look at that.
The last paragraph kind of sums that up. It's
So it's just information we already have on that property?
It is.
Okay.
But
so right there, David, the bottom one, it basically says now that the property has been surveyed, and then it goes on in the paperwork that's provided for us to sign if we so choose to do it.
the thing that's unique about this, and it's not really that different, is we didn't foreclose on Mr. Drinkwater. We foreclosed on the previous property owner. And a lot of lawyers and attorneys, when a property is purchased when the town's foreclosed on it, they like to have that quitclaim deed to the new owner. It should be the old owner, so they did that back in 2015, but it doesn't describe the property at all. It just has the map and lot. So that's what his attorney is requesting, that we do like a corrective municipal quitclaim, which describes the property.
Okay, which is from our property work card, right?
Yeah, which would be from
Yeah.
prior deed of the property
I
ownership.
don't see any problem.
Yeah.
Don't they have access to the prior deed?
I know, that's
Well,
what.
they do, but what,
They
what,
could do this themselves.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
see
the
this-
town has to set this, we sold it to them in the first place, so the town would be up to the town to sign this quitclaim deed for them.
we're not issuing it to a new person.
No,
It's the same exact
Basically,
person.
what it says is that being the same premises conveyed by the inhabitants of the municipality of Woolwich to Roger L. Drinkwater Jr. by deed dated September 9, 2015, and recorded at Saginaw County Registry Deeds in book and page, hereby clarifying the description as the same. But basically, all we're saying is, his lawyer, for some reason, wants us, the quitclaim just references map and lot, okay? They wanted to reference the actual deed to the property. With, you know, this says, basically, it says that this is a municipal quitclaim deed confirmation.
I have no problem doing it, I'm just surprised they didn't do it themselves. I mean, it's all record, right?
Yeah.
Registry of deeds.
they could, I guess I don't
Couldn't
understand how they
go
could
to
have
the
done
prior
it
deed and
themselves.
get all this information?
They did do that already, but we
Yeah.
have to sign it, the town has to sign it.
Right, I think it's a
Okay.
correct.
We sold it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and if you read this cover letter, it goes on to say that, it says normally municipal quitclaim deed is just transferring property back to a past due taxpayer, but this person bought it, right? And then, you know, however, you're the buyer with the property, no prior connection. And it just goes on to say that now that the property's been surveyed, it may be worthwhile to ask the town of Woolwich to reaffirm its releasing to you the property using a proper survey, rather than, they're just not really excited about just the tax map and lot. And they say up top, as a general rule.
He's obviously had his property
Yeah.
I saw them
reasonably
do it.
surveyed.
Did you? Yeah. I mean, I was with Kim at first, I was like, oh geez, but I have the town attorney, but then the more you read it, it's like, I guess you can't really harm us any,
Yeah,
but it's up to you guys.
So a motion, I guess, would be in order to sign
Do
this.
you guys want to
I
read
think
it
you
at
all
all?
have to sign it, don't
You
you?
wanna
Yeah,
look
I'm
at it?
okay, you explained it pretty well.
Yeah, I'll move them, I'll make the motion.
Do you want to read it?
Do you want it, or you have it? You want to read it? We can talk about it in 2 more minutes. There we go.
Okay, moving on. Do you want to talk about the estimate?
Yes,
Brewer?
yes, I think we need to
Okay.
talk about that, yep. So, if you guys recall last year, there was some situation with the cleanup at Town Square, and we used a different entity. Do you guys remember that? I forgot about it, but then I remembered it today. Do you remember, Lolan was doing it, and then
With
there was...
Brewer Landscaping
Yeah, we used,
instead of,
Kevin Brewer did it, remember, because there was,
what's his name?
yeah, with Bob, you know.
No, I don't remember.
Well, no, I mean, about the, getting
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
Anyway, so he submitted a
Estimate.
estimate for the work.
Right
to do
there.
it. So
And that comes out of the monument?
it does,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's $1,940.
We had to talk them down a little bit.
Yeah, and we have $2,500 in there
Okay.
every year, so want to, and this is actually coming out of this year's budget, not next year's budget, because they do the cleanup. We raise and appropriate money at town meeting, but the cleanup doesn't go until the next spring.
Right. Right
Well,
before
we get
Memorial Day.
it, we just have to get it done before June 30th, so that we're paying for it out of the correct year's budget.
Memorial Day is the big deadline, right?
Yeah, Memorial Day is the big deadline, so we always had it done by the 30th, so it's $1,940, so motion to approve this.
Come move.
Second.
Those in favor? Okay. I don't think we need to do anything other than just turn him loose.
Okay.
Where did all this descriptive stuff come from?
From
He
the
came from
registry of
the
deeds.
original deed to the property.
Yeah, and it looks like,
To explain how this works somewhat, because I was involved with it with my grandson's property that he bought from the town. What we did was we actually hired an attorney and had him do what they call a quiet title thing. So, and that's basically what we did it without involving the town. I hired an attorney and he did a quiet title. But this is probably a less expensive way of doing it, and I wish I'd known about it.
yeah, and you saw about their survey. right? And if you remember, even on that property, we had some questions.
Where is this from?
It's on the Quonset Road beyond the
Oh,
school.
yeah.
But if you remember
Yeah.
on your grandson's, when you
Yeah.
walked up, we had to have McConnell and Associates come in.
Oh, yeah.
You guys remember that? So, because there was some questions about that. We weren't even sure what we were getting or giving.
So basically, the property's been, you know, nothing's changed, it's just that they want it to actually reflect the proper deed description, from what I can see here.
So did we vote on it or not?
You know, we made the motion, but I don't think we voted.
Yeah, motion was made and seconded, we have not voted whether or not to sign it yet. Those in favor? Okay.
Looks like there's only 3 split signatures.
Yeah, but you can, we'll get all 5 of us on here.
You don't want to leave anybody out. If we're going to court, we're all going.
If one of us is going to jail, we're all going.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna put my signature, and my printed name on the same line.
Okay.
I have one more thing
Okay.
to talk about. Sean, you might want to pay attention to this. So, and I think I sent it to Jack, and you as well.
Oh, yes.
It's from the Department of Transportation.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
So this is large culvert replacements on 127, and they are going to be closing Route 127 for a total of 28 days in 2 14-day periods at each large culvert to complete this work. The detour routes will be along Routes 128 and 197, and they will hold a public meeting, a virtual
We'll do it
public
this summer,
meeting
yeah,
in
let's do it.
December
No, it's not
of
this year.
2023.
Okay.
So now they need to know if at this time, if there are any annual events or known traffic generators in the area of the project that would impact this project, and if there has been any known flooding of the road in this area, that'd be a Jack thing.
Yeah.
Where
So,
are these going?
Right, so let's start. So one of them's at the lowland right between the Quonset River Road,
Yeah.
where the hole showed up. There's 2 4-hook pipes there. I met with DOT just, so those are up for a replacement. And then the other one is, go by Old Stage Road, head towards, well, I'm gonna just call it where Julie and Matt live.
Yeah, legit.
And then the dip,
Oh,
there's a
yeah,
large
yeah,
culvert right there,
yeah.
the dip right there. But Kim, this is for 2025, right? The work?
the project is currently scheduled to be advertised for competitive bids in late winter 2025 and construction in summer and fall of 2025. They're gonna hold a meeting in December of 2023.
That's right. So what we do know is there has been flooding at the lower
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
obviously. They're on the ground, they're buried. So we do know that. We conveyed that to them, but still a couple of years away.
It's still a couple of years away,
But
but
There's a Veterans Day event, depending on when they were planning to do that. You're talking about large events or
It's gonna
whatever.
be summertime, right?
I'm guessing they wouldn't
Summer
do it
and
in
fall.
November.
yeah.
Yeah, because of paving, it would be prior to,
right.
typically paving's done by.
But they're gonna do both of them at the same time?
No, they're going to do it in 2 14-day periods.
Yeah, but I think it's one contract, right?
Yeah.
So they'll do one and 14-day.
If they could do it in non-school season, not sure would help.
Yeah.
So the
It
trouble
says
is.
summer and fall.
Yeah, so the two, but a lot of people don't know, my father, our company put those ones in, the lower ones, way back in the 60s. And they're 4 feet, they're bigger than people think, but remember the hole showed up that weekend and
Yeah.
you guys shut the road down and all that? DOT came down, they're buried though. So they're only like half usable, and then there was beaver problems, and then there's flooding problems. And my understanding is, I talked to Brian Reeves about this, and met him down there, they're gonna actually put in some sort of box culverts and make it a whole different deal.
It'd be
So
one of
it
those,
may,
like,
yeah.
crater
Well,
friendly?
well, I don't have all the answers to that, but what I mean is, it's more than just digging a trench and putting in a
Right,
pipe, because if you have to do approaches,
I
and,
was gonna say, they wouldn't raise that whole section.
well, that's what I think this is all
Doesn't
about.
make sense.
Yeah.
But Debbie makes a good point.
Yes.
Sort of remind them when
Yeah.
school is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think what's really important to remember, and hopefully
I
we'll,
think people in Days Ferry are really gonna like this.
well, I think what's important is that December.
Sorry, Deb.
Oh, yeah.
Right, is that what it is, December of 23, right, this year?
Yes.
So that's the important meeting to talk about all the problems, because as you know, they're gonna still be working on the water.
Do they need any
So-
action from the town right now?
Oh, that's right.
All it says, hereby request that you provide a copy of this notice to all municipal officials, employees, and boards with responsibilities for utility and/or land use planning permitting. And all I want to know if there are any annual events or no traffic generators in the area.
Just
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
get-
Bath
just-
Iron.
Yeah.
Twice a day.
BIW 500. So I meant to mention this at one of the other meetings, but I did talk to Brian Reeves. There's a lot of people complaining about the condition of 127. As you know, when Ellison's on standby. And they're not, this is gonna be great, they're gonna repave it in 25. And so, more than likely they'll do it. No, more than likely they'll pave it prior to the culvert replacement.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's like the time they striped 128 and then paved it afterwards.
Oh.
They use that bleed up paint.
How is the paver supposed to know where to go?
I just thought of, did you hear from DOT? They're paving next week.
Down here.
Down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. They told me the other day that they're
You
paving
mean
down
the
here.
sinking road?
9th and 10th, I think, over 9th.
Wait, which road?
Route 1, the paving plan opens up the 9th.
You mean, what he's talking about is if you notice, we're still sinking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
there's been a lot of patching to get